The galaxy's most advanced civilizations, once brimming with power, now trembled in the face of an unseen enemy. News of the virus's rapid spread dominated every communication channel. Zeltharians, whose populations spanned across multiple star systems, had been hit first, their homeworld plunged into chaos. Within days, their once vibrant cities became empty wastelands, and their strongest military units fell silent, unable to contain the rapidly increasing numbers of the infected. Worse still, the virus didn't seem to kill quickly. Instead, it tore down a species' defenses slowly, leaving them weak, unable to fight back, and eventually unable to reproduce. From the neighboring Zeveran alliance, an urgent transmission warned of their own impending collapse. The virus, they confirmed, was particularly lethal to their species, mutating rapidly and outpacing any attempts at developing a vaccine. This was not a natural disease, they surmised, but a weapon crafted with cold precision to decimate civilizations. The Galactic Council, composed of delegates from over 30 worlds, convened in a virtual summit. The mood was tense, heavy with the fear that their entire existence was at risk. Experts theorized that the virus had originated in the distant corners of the galaxy, spreading outward like a dark storm, impervious to the usual methods of containment or cure. As planets fell, alien governments imposed strict quarantines, restricting all travel, imposing curfews, and shuttling their populations into self-isolation. And yet, the most puzzling phenomenon occurred on Earth. Human news outlets, though aware of the outbreak, downplayed its significance. Across the planet, people carried on with their usual routines, skeptical of the panic surrounding the virus. Medical professionals reported only sporadic cases, a few mild fevers, some sore throats, but nothing resembling the horrific symptoms ravaging other species. In fact, by all reports, it seemed like little more than a passing cold. Some joked it was just the flu, something humans had dealt with for centuries. But to the galaxy, this was incomprehensible. The alien world, where fear of the virus had turned into hysteria, watched as humans seemed entirely unaffected. No grand quarantines were necessary. Humans did not retreat into bunkers. Life on Earth was not at a standstill, and yet they were surviving, even thriving, as other species crumbled before the viral plague. The question that echoed through the galaxy: why were humans so different? The Zeltharians, desperate to uncover the truth, sent a covert team to Earth. Their mission was simple: observe, study, and learn why humanity was not only surviving, but seemingly immune. What the galaxy didn't know, however, was that humanity's resilience was just the beginning of a far greater mystery. While the galaxy trembled in fear, Earth remained eerily calm. As news of the virus spread across human media, the response was almost dismissive. The nightly news offered updates, but in the same tone as an ordinary flu season. Infectious outbreaks in several star systems, but here on Earth, no signs of danger. The anchors would report, sipping coffee and glancing at the teleprompter with casual ease. Doctors offered their advice: plenty of sleep, staying hydrated, and washing hands. But that was it. For the average citizen, it felt like just another winter cold. Hospitals did report a slight uptick in patients with flu-like symptoms, but nothing beyond what Earth's healthcare system routinely handled. Only a handful of deaths were recorded, and they were due to complications from pre-existing conditions. Human mortality rates were astoundingly low compared to the rest of the galaxy. While other species, with their advanced technologies and long lifespans, crumbled in days, humans barely seemed to notice the virus was even there. The world's leading virologists were puzzled. What was it about human biology that made them so impervious to the virus? Earth's top scientists began to conduct their own research, analyzing the virus's genetic makeup and its effects on humans. They found that while the virus replicated in human cells, it didn't cause the overwhelming chaos seen in other species. Some scientists even suggested that the virus was simply incompatible with human biology, as if it had been designed to target every species except Earth's. On the surface, The galaxy watched Earth with skepticism. They wondered if humanity had found a way to hide the effects, or if the planet had somehow turned into a sanctuary for the infected. Rumors circulated that Earth's leaders were covering up the true toll of the virus. Yet, when emissaries arrived from the Seltharian delegation, sent to investigate Earth's immunity firsthand, their tests returned baffling results. No disease, no contamination, nothing. The humans appeared unaffected. The Seltharians, once certain that Earth was hiding something, now had to accept the possibility that the humans simply didn't fall ill. At least, not in the same way. At a galactic summit, the question became more urgent. Was humanity's immunity a fluke, or was there something deeper at work? The virus seemed to weaken in human systems, resisting any attempts by alien scientists to understand why. The question loomed larger. What did this mean for humanity's place in the galaxy? Were they now the last standing species capable of surviving an apocalypse that had wiped out the galaxy's greatest civilizations? And still, on Earth, life went on, unshaken. People continued their routines, their jobs, their lives. A few whispered that perhaps humanity had been underestimated for far too long. As weeks passed, the galaxy's fear deepened, and questions about Earth's immunity grew more pressing. The Seltharians, now desperate to understand why humans seemed immune, sent a cover team to Earth. Their mission was clear: observe, collect data, and uncover the secret behind humanity's resistance. They arrived under the cover of a diplomatic exchange, blending in with the Earth's government representatives as they studied human behavior, biological samples, and every aspect of the virus's interaction with humans. The Seltharians were cautious. Their own species had been ravaged by the virus, and they now found themselves depending on human technology to even stay alive. A subtle unease simmered among their ranks. Could humanity's resistance be more than just biological luck? Could the virus have been designed to do this? Target all species except humans. Meanwhile, Earth scientists, emboldened by this strange immunity, focused their research on the virus's composition. Human virologists began to analyze the DNA strands and molecular behavior of the pathogen with an urgency they had never felt before. The virus was uniquely adaptive, a blend of natural evolution and something far more sophisticated, almost like a weapon that seemed to have no effect on humans. Dr. Elena Carter, a leading virologist on Earth, led a team to track the virus's mutations. The team quickly discovered that the virus was not just random. It had been engineered, evolving with each infected species, yet it showed an inexplicable resistance when it came into contact with human biology. The virus couldn't outpace the human immune system. While it was a death sentence for others, for humans, it was no more than a temporary inconvenience. It puzzled Dr. Carter. There had to be a reason. While Earth scientists delved deeper into their studies, the Seltharian delegation grew increasingly nervous. What if this was more than just an immunity? What if the virus had been specifically designed to target everyone except humans? And if that was the case, then why? The Seltharians, with their vast knowledge of genetics and bioweapons, had never encountered such an anomaly. The virus wasn't just neutral in humans. It seemed to weaken or even become dormant. It was as if the virus was rejecting humanity. Unable to draw conclusions themselves, the Seltharians turned to Earth for answers, asking for cooperation in unlocking the full mystery of the virus's origins. Dr. Carter and her team, though reluctant to reveal everything, agreed to work together. Earth scientists shared their data, but they were careful. They sensed there was more to this than just a medical anomaly. They couldn't shake the feeling that the virus was merely a symptom of a far greater mystery, something ancient, something that tied humanity's survival to forces no one could comprehend. The galaxy continued to watch, as Earth seemed to hold the key to not just surviving, but understanding the virus. What had humanity stumbled upon, and would the galaxy ever be ready for the truth? As the galaxy descended into chaos, panic turned to paranoia. The virus, which had wiped out countless species and devastated entire worlds, had become the universe's greatest threat. It continued to mutate with terrifying speed, overcoming the biological defenses of every species it encountered. And then there was Earth, the only planet where the virus seemed to lose its power. The question now wasn't just why humans were unaffected, but whether they had somehow caused the virus to mutate in a way that benefited them. Some feared humanity's immunity could be part of a larger scheme. Galactic rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers turned to accusations. Had humans engineered this virus to eliminate potential threats to their own species? Had they hidden their immunity as a form of biological superiority? Alien factions began to point fingers, convinced that humanity's unscathed position in the virus's wake was no mere coincidence. The diplomatic relationships between Earth and the rest of the galaxy grew tense, with several species, particularly the xenophobic Traxians, accusing humans of withholding crucial information. In the Galactic Senate, heated debates erupted. Some representatives wanted to propose sanctions, others demanded a full investigation, but the truth was elusive. On Earth, however, the atmosphere was far more subdued. Governments knew the galaxy was watching them closely, but they insisted the public remain calm. The global medical community emphasized that humans weren't immune by design, merely lucky. While most Earthlings took this statement at face value, there were rising concerns among certain factions, who quietly began to wonder if they were indeed missing something more sinister. One morning, an urgent transmission from the Seltharians arrived, offering a chilling revelation. They had discovered evidence of the virus's accelerated mutation across multiple species, a pattern they had never seen before. They believed the virus was evolving to specifically target species other than humans, and perhaps Earth's genetic structure had become the only immune factor capable of halting its spread. Fear swept through the galaxy again, but this time it was different. It wasn't just a fear of death or disease, but a new fear of humanity itself. If humans were immune, if their bodies could resist what the rest of the galaxy could not, did that make them an unstoppable force? Were they, without realizing it, the galaxy's last hope, or its greatest threat? The question of why humanity remained unaffected now seemed urgent. Was it mere coincidence, or was there something more behind this inexplicable immunity? The pressure on Earth intensified. The Seltharians, whose once powerful empire had been reduced to a fraction of its former size, sent a delegation to Earth to seek answers directly. As they arrived, one thing became clear. Earth was holding the key to not just surviving, but potentially overcoming the galaxy's greatest catastrophe. On Earth, there was no panic, no scrambling for answers, just a steady pursuit of knowledge. But the galaxy's suspicions of human intentions would not be so easily quelled. While the galaxy grew more desperate, Earth's scientists unearthed something far more significant than any of them could have anticipated. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, a discovery was made that would forever change the trajectory of humanity's place in the galaxy. A team of researchers, led by Dr. Elena Carter and a group of archaeologists, uncovered a hidden structure buried under layers of rock and dust. What they found was not just a ruin, but a vault of knowledge. Ancient technology that had been left behind by an unknown civilization. The structure, once thought to be a natural formation, turned out to be a complex, artificially built repository of alien artifacts, genetic data, and advanced technology. Among the discoveries were fragments of alien DNA, encrypted data tablets, and intricate records of a conflict between two species, one of which bore an eerie resemblance to humanity. The records detail a war fought across the stars eons ago. It was a war between humanity's ancient ancestors and a technologically advanced alien race known as the Zorathians. The Zorathians were experts in genetic engineering, and it became clear that they had developed the virus that was now devastating the galaxy. But the purpose of the virus was not immediately obvious. According to the ancient texts, the Zorathians had crafted the virus to target species they considered inferior, weakening entire ecosystems to manipulate populations and expand their empire. But then, something unexpected happened. During the course of the war, the humans, though vastly outmatched technologically, began to exhibit an inexplicable resistance to the virus. Over time, humanity developed a natural immunity to the very virus designed to wipe them out. The Zorethians, stunned by this unforeseen twist, began experimenting on human genetics, hoping to understand the source of their resilience. They never found the answer, as humanity's resistance only grew stronger with each encounter. As Dr. Carter and her team deciphered the encrypted texts, they realized the stunning truth. Humanity's immunity was no accident. It had been forged in the crucible of a long-lost war. It wasn't a fluke, but the result of genetic modifications made over millennia. The ancient war had triggered a profound change in humanity's genetic makeup, an adaptation that allowed them to survive the very weapon designed to annihilate them. The implications were staggering. Earth was not just a planet of survivors. Humanity had been genetically engineered to overcome extinction. The virus currently ravaging the galaxy wasn't a new threat. It was a remnant of that ancient conflict, one that had now resurfaced across the stars. But if humanity had been the target of this weaponized virus long ago, why had it survived? And why, after all this time, had the Zorethians, or whatever force had crafted the virus, not anticipated that humanity would become so resilient? The answers to these questions lay buried in the history of a war that was long thought to be over. Now, humanity's past had caught up with them, and the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. The discovery on Mars sent shockwaves through the scientific community, but the implications went beyond Earth's borders. The galaxy watched with a mix of awe and dread as the truth of humanity's ancient resilience became clear. The virus that had ravaged the galaxy for so long, that had brought entire civilizations to their knees, had been designed by an alien race to wipe out humanity. Yet somehow, humanity had not only survived, they had adapted. Now, with the virus spreading at an unprecedented rate, questions swirled around what the galaxy could expect next. As the virus continued to mutate, alien scientists began to notice something strange. The virus, which had been so deadly to their species, seemed to be losing its potency, but only when interacting with human biology. It had been evolving to target new species, becoming more aggressive with each mutation. Yet when it encountered humans, it failed to adapt. Instead of becoming more deadly, it seemed to weaken. Where once the virus tore through populations, it now appeared to sputter and stall, unable to replicate in human cells with the same efficiency. The change was subtle, but unmistakable. Earth's natural immunity was not only enduring, it was making the virus weaker. Dr. Elena Carter and her team began to study the effects of this mutation more closely. They found that the virus had evolved in ways no one had expected, resisting some human immune systems, but failing to overpower them entirely. It wasn't just that humans were unaffected. The virus seemed to lose its ability to mutate effectively within human bodies. It was as if the virus itself had encountered a biological dead end. But this development came with its own dangers. As the virus weakened in humans, it did not simply disappear. It mutated into a form that could no longer effectively attack any species. The remaining alien species, especially those who had developed countermeasures to combat the virus, now found themselves facing an entirely new version of the disease, one that did not discriminate, but that no longer had the ability to kill or even infect in the same way. On the galactic stage, fear began to rise. The belief that the virus had been engineered to wipe out specific species now seemed undeniable. And yet, the mutations signaled that humanity had become the unexpected savior. With no clear understanding of why this had happened, and no way of predicting what the future held, the galaxy was forced to reconsider its entire stance toward Earth. Galactic leaders gathered in an emergency summit, unsure whether to celebrate humanity's resilience or fear what it might mean for the future. Earth's resistance to the virus was not just a medical anomaly anymore. It was a pivotal turning point in the war against the pathogen. The question now was whether humanity, with its unintentional role as the virus's final hurdle, would remain neutral in this galactic crisis or take its place as the galaxy's leader in overcoming the disease once and for all. But beyond the politics and the fear, a deeper question lingered. What if humanity's immunity was the beginning of something far greater than anyone had anticipated? What if the ancient conflict, the one long buried in history, was not over at all? As humanity's role in the viral crisis became clearer, tensions across the galaxy reached a boiling point. The once unified Galactic Council, which had been focused on survival, began to fracture. Some species saw humanity's immunity as a sign of hope, a potential solution to the ongoing plague. Others, particularly those who had suffered the most, looked at Earth with suspicion, seeing the humans as a new uncontrollable force with powers they didn't fully understand. Behind the scenes, certain factions began to push for drastic measures. The Zeveran Alliance, once a key ally in galactic diplomacy, saw Earth's immunity as a direct challenge to their sovereignty. If humanity had the key to surviving the virus, they believed Earth might leverage that power to control the galaxy. Even worse, there were whispers that Earth had been hiding the true scope of their immunity, and the galaxy was unaware of just how far this biological advantage extended. The fear was palpable, and soon, a covert operation was set into motion. A group of alien operatives infiltrated Earth, disguised as diplomats and researchers. Their mission was clear: find out the full extent of humanity's immunity, and, if possible, uncover the secret to how humans had survived while the rest of the galaxy had crumbled. But their plans were quickly thwarted when one of the operatives was captured by Earth's intelligence. The galactic espionage was a wake-up call to humanity that the situation had escalated far beyond anything they had anticipated. It was no longer just a question of survival. Now, the galaxy was looking to Earth for answers, and some were willing to do whatever it took to uncover those answers, even if it meant going to war. As tensions mounted, Dr. Elena Carter's team uncovered something even more troubling in their research: a disturbing pattern in the viral mutations. While the virus had weakened in humans, it was evolving in unpredictable ways. Some variants were almost entirely harmless, while others exhibited traits that suggested a dormant force, waiting for the right conditions to fully activate. It became clear that humanity's immunity wasn't the full story. The virus, as it had evolved, was starting to behave like a sentient organism, adapting and changing in response to not just biology, but intention. It was as though the virus had been designed not just to destroy, but to learn. And now it seemed to be learning from humans, specifically their ability to resist it. The fear now wasn't just about the virus, but about what might happen if it learned how to bypass humanity's defenses. If the virus could adapt this quickly, who would control the next mutation? Would humanity be prepared to fight an enemy that was now evolving with intelligence? The galaxy now stood at the precipice of an unknown future. As Earth's immunity became the center of galactic debate, the true question wasn't whether humanity could save the galaxy, but whether they could survive the war that was already on the horizon. The galaxy was on the brink of disaster. The virus, once thought to be a simple biological weapon, had become something far more dangerous. It was evolving, mutating, and learning in ways that defied comprehension. Humanity, with its unique immunity, had unwittingly become the center of the galaxy's greatest conflict. But as the universe teetered on the edge of destruction, a truth that had been buried for millennia finally came to light. A truth that would alter the course of the galaxy forever. Dr. Elena Carter's team, still tirelessly working through the data they had uncovered on Mars, stumbled upon an ancient transmission hidden within the encrypted alien records. It was a message, encoded in the very genetic material humanity had inherited from their ancient ancestors. The message spoke of the origin of the virus and its true purpose. The Zorethians, the ancient race who had created the virus to wipe out humanity, had not done so out of malice. Instead, they had made the virus as a response to an even greater threat, a cosmic force that had been ravaging the galaxy long before the rise of the Zorethians themselves. This force, known as the Sireth, was an ancient predatory species that thrived on the genetic decay of other life forms. The Scythe devoured entire star systems, using a deadly form of parasitic mutation to collapse ecosystems, destabilize planets, and drain all life until nothing remained but barren husks. The Zorathians, in a desperate attempt to stop the Scythe, had created the virus to target the Scythe's weaknesses, but the virus had only worked on certain species. Humanity, however, had been a surprise. The genetic modifications the Zorathians had attempted on humans in the ancient war had triggered a series of adaptations that made humans uniquely resistant to the Scythe's parasitic mutations. Over time, this resistance had become so strong that humans were no longer just immune to the virus. They were immune to the Scythe's very nature. Humanity's genetic evolution had unknowingly turned them into the perfect defense against the Scythe. The Zorathians, realizing this, had secretly left behind their ancient knowledge on Mars, hoping that humanity would one day discover their true role in the galaxy's survival. But as the virus began to resurface, they had failed to anticipate one crucial thing: humanity's capacity to adapt. The virus had been a tool, yes, but humanity had now become the key to stopping the Scythe once and for all. The revelation sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The virus that had seemed like a curse was actually the universe's best hope for survival. As Earth's leaders came to understand the true gravity of the situation, they knew their role had changed forever. They were not merely survivors of a galactic plague. They were the last line of defense against an even greater threat. The galaxy's factions, now united by this revelation, began to set aside their differences. The virus had become a tool of unity, forcing once divided species to work together. As Earth took its place at the center of the galaxy's defense, humanity's role in the galaxy was no longer in question. They had been underestimated, but now they were the galaxy's protectors. In the end, the virus wasn't just a deadly weapon. It was a trial that tested not just humanity's immunity, but its capacity to rise to a challenge greater than any other species had ever faced. And in the end, it would be humanity's adaptability, its resilience, and its unity that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The true battle had only just begun.